Welcome to the channel. We will be reviewing Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. We want to do all the Power universe. We're going to start here. I know I'm a little late to the party, but hey, it's never too late. Let's get it. To catch up, I will be reviewing episodes 1 through 5. My goal is to have them done before episode 6 drops on Friday. Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. Episode 1. Season 3, Episode 1. Now, just to give a quick little recap, and I know everybody's probably already caught up, but we left off Season 2 with Marvin. He was making his rounds. He, going to all of those stash houses, and he ended up at the projects, where you get on the elevators and they, put the little drugs down the chute, all that. So he ended up at the projects. Lou was at the studio working with the young lady that he's trying to promote, and Rock was at home. She was at home chilling, packing, because she just bought this new house in the suburbs. She, want to move Kanan out of the life. And all of a sudden, everybody just started getting hit. At the studio, Lou, men busted in, and we know it was the mob, guys that, they were in competition with. They had started the little war beef with, whatever. So they busted in. Lou was at the studio with the young lady, and they just shot up the place. Lou was able to, Lou, they was raised in this, right? They know, he was able to take cover, get his whip out and everything like that, his piece. And but the young lady got shot and killed right there. He saw her laying there and everything. But he was able to get some hits off, and then they got up out of there. He survived. We saw that. Rock as well. She heard a knock at the door, goes to the door, and it's Juke, Laverne's mother. She's coming there because she wants to, I guess she feels bad of how she did Juke with all that religious stuff. And it's her. And when she opens the door, Rock notices that her guards weren't there. And, of course, the shooting starts. Juke's mother ends up being deceased. Rock's fighting for her life. She takes out one of the guys, because I want to say there's only like 2 or 3 of them over there, whatever. She takes out one of the guys, and there's one left. She's out of bullets, and there's Unique. Comes to save the day. Captain Save-A-Ho. Unique comes, and I was here for it. I was so happy. I don't want to see Rock die. At least not yet. But, and I'm pretty sure everybody knows I don't think she dies, because I remember in Power, unless he was lying, he would lie. Kanan told Ghost. Ghost was like, "What you been up to?" He said, "I just came back from seeing moms." So that kind of leads me to believe that she survived some kind of way. Whether in prison, whatever. But she survived. But then the cliffhanger that they had was, it looked to me, and I spent the summer thinking, or the off time thinking, that he was gone, which I hated, because Marvin's one of my favorite. He is definitely one of my favorite players here. He brings a lot to the show to me. But he gets shot, like, in the stomach, area. And he gets shot, but there's a man in a wheelchair that saves him. So we find out that he's good. So, boom, here we go. The show starts. Marvin's riding in the car with the man that saved him. His name's Demo. He lives in the, I don't want to say crack house, but the high rise, the projects. He lives in the projects. And he saved Marvin. Apparently he's a part of the game or whatever, because he's taken a bullet in the spine as well. So I'm sure, Marvin knew him from being in the game or whatever. But anyway, he's driving Marvin around to all their spots, because Marvin, even though he got a hole, right? And he's busted up, and he's working on it as they drive, blood gushing. And he's going to take care of business. He stands on business. That's one thing about Marvin. He stands on business. So they're going around and to the different, to their stash houses, they're collecting everything that they can get, right? Making sure everything's good. So Marvin was alive. Rock is at the hospital. Kanan's there. Juke is there. And the detectives, of course, are all over the place. They also cut and show the detectives all over at the studio as well, and they're questioning them. They're wanting to know what happened. Why were you all targeted? Pretty much, because I guess they're trying to start there to work their way back to who did it. But their ultimate goal is to find out, what are you all involved in? Well, Rock's not dumb, right? She's not stupid. So she sneaks a call in to Lou and say, hey, this is what I'm going to tell him. We're putting this on Crown. Because Crown, he's gone, right? He's already gone. Losing took care of him. So they know they won't be able to question Crown because they know they took care of Crown. So Crown is gone. So she's telling Lou, we're going to put this on Crown. We're going to say that, he had some bad debts out there and these guys were targeting him and we got caught in the crossfire. He had his hands in all kind of things. And even, that's why they were over at the projects as well, because he had his hand. He in other words, like, he's the kingpin. That's who they were after, trying to wash their hands of everything in Rock fashion. And you know what? This lady I wanted to give her a Grammy myself because she sold that. I mean, she just rock solid. I guess that's why they call her Rock. She's solid, cold-hearted, and just told them everything that she wanted them to know. So there's that. But we moved to a scene at the time. I'm like, whoa, it was just kind of cringy. We go to a scene where Neek comes home and he's met by his wife. And it's like, why didn't you tell me your brother was getting out? Well, he didn't know. Well, there was a scene back at the hospital where you could hear in the background of them talking about a lot of inmates being released. And when I heard it, I kind of thought, this is going to be significant if we're hearing this, right? Sure enough, his brother's one of the inmates that got released. So he didn't, obviously the wife knew some history. You know how, we women are, and you try to tell your man won't listen. Gave me one of those type of vibes, like she knew who he was and this man was something serious. He's in the kitchen and he's eating cereal. And as long as he's been locked up, he didn't get up. He didn't break stride. He's eating no cereal and he's watching TV. And your brother walks in, whom you haven't seen in years, whom you haven't touched in years, and you don't break stride eating your cereal, watching TV. And Nick even calls him out and was like, yo, bro, like, you're not going to get up and give your brother a hug? Don't want my cereal to get soggy. Creepy, right? And then as Neek's, trying to talk to him to find out what's going on, and he's telling Neek, still he's not losing focus, but he hones in on Neek's sleeve, and he notices that Neek has some blood on his sleeve, and he says, "Cut yourself." Like, what happened or something? You got blood on your sleeve. He noticed it. While he's like, he has that second antenna going on, right? So he ain't to be played with. Neek lies and tells him he cut himself on the door handle or whatever, but you could tell by the look on his face, he knew that was bull, right? Creepy. And then you later see Neek and his wife in their bedroom, of course, having that husband-wife talk, and she's again telling him, like, we got kids. So it just giving you the warnings that this guy is dangerous. We've got kids. I don't want him in the house. And he's like, he's my brother. We're not going to see any danger at the hands of my brother. This is my brother. Again, want to listen to them women. So, the police are still doing all of their investigations back and forth, blah, 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 blah. And to my surprise, I see him standing around looking, and he's kind of in the background giving Rock the yeah right look. But Howard is in on it. He's in on the fix. He's backing up everything that Rock's saying. He's backing it up. Everything she's saying. So then you see all the cops, convene together, outside, like in the lobby part of near the waiting area of the hospital, and in walks Crazy Burke. the try hard detective. Like, she just relentless. She just, that little pit bull ain't gonna stop, right? It just had me to wonder, are there really cops like that? Like, that's kind of dangerous. But anyway, she comes in, and it's funny because Kanan done had enough of her, right? Because she's always pulling him, Juke, to the side, trying to question them, get in their business. He done had enough of her, so he over there with his hoodie trying to hide from her, don't want her to see him the time she walk. That's just how much of a bugaboo she is. He over there trying to hide from her. So she comes in and just relentless, just start right off talking about the case and past stuff that she's found, and pointing the finger at Howard right there in his face, like, to the lieutenant, the man in charge. I guess he's a lieutenant, chief, whatever. She just won't stop. So he tells her, come with me. He takes her out of the hospital and tells her that she's suspended. Turn in your gun. You're done. Like, he suspends her. Like, oh, we tired of hearing all this. You keep saying it. Because in reality, she's right. She's spot on. But the stuff's so crazy to make you look crazy because you the one, talking about it and trying to point it out. So he suspends her. So she's done. So fast forward, you see Rock at her new beautiful home in the suburbs, and she's got the whole family there, where everybody except for Lou, because Lou's done with her. He's done. He's done tapped out. He's done with her. So they're all at the house. They've helped her moved in. You've got Marvin, you've got Laverne, you've got Kanan and Rock. So they're all there, and but Kanan's not helping. He ain't doing nothing. And Marvin's like, man, come on, man. We got to get this stuff done. He's like, I don't live here. This is Kanan. And it pisses Marvin off. And he's like, you live where your mama live. Here's the thing. Kanan, he still rebelled. This supposed to have been back in the 80s. Now I'm an 80s. I was raised in that era. And I can guarantee you that an uncle back then would have put hands on Kanan. Would have put hands on it. It just is what it is. They would have put hands on Kanan, but, this is TV, they didn't. But that's something I noticed. An uncle back then would have put hands on Kanan. Anyway, Kanan is just out of pocket. Like, and I get it. I hate to say he's out of pocket, because Rock is more out of pocket than anybody, especially between her and Kanan, because that's your son. And you put a gun in your son's hand to kill his own daddy. You knew that was his daddy. Hadn't told him, kept it from him. And I don't know, and I guess kind of like what we later found out, I don't know, maybe it's kind of twisted, kind of make you understand what Rock was going through, because for Howard to be Kanan's daddy, and Rock was his teenage minor or whatever CI, you chomo, man. Like, you chomo. So, I don't know. It's just all twisted. It just is when the twistedness make the more twisted stuff sound right, because I feel like, I don't know. But that's kind of tough. That's a tough one for me. I'm gonna have to think about that one a little more. But she did some twisted stuff, within the family. Thus why Lou don't mess with her no more. So Kanan, he don't wanna participate with her. So I guess to make him feel better, or to prove his point more to his uncle and his cousin, he tells them about Howard. They're all sitting there talking, trying to hash things out. And he tells them about Howard. Now, this blows Marvin away. He's like, what about DEFCON? Well, DEFCON ain't the daddy. Wasn't the daddy, because, DEFCON's gone now. But no. So Kanan decides to spill that. But, so this gets Marvin all upset. So Kanan leaves, and Rock gives Juke the look, like, go talk to him, try to talk him into it. And I said that point because you could see her pain when Juke came back in the house and was like the talk didn't work. He's gone. you could see her pain. Like at the end of the day, yes, she do some crazy stuff, but she's a mother. That's her child. So I could feel that. Being a mother, I could feel that was kind of tough. But Rock did, go ahead and she talked to Juke and, let her know about her mom. Your mom, came here, and that's kind of good. She let her know because the way her and her mom ended, she needed to hear that her mom came looking for her, and hopefully, well, obviously it didn't because we know how Juke turned out. I was going to say hopefully that helped her to heal, but maybe towards her mom it helped her to heal, but that stuff still kind of festers. So I don't know, but I think Rock, it shows good sides of Rock, that she does have some goodness under all that evil. And then Marvin, like this man really has turned his relationship around with his daughter. Shout out to the writers for his character arc, the way he has developed as a father in this role. Like he's really there for her, and I appreciate that as a viewer. Bert continues to fall apart. We see her at home talking everything over with her dad. Her dad's letting her know, listen, you got a hearing coming up. And they hadn't even told her this. This was news to her when her daddy told her, you got a hearing coming up. I'm going to go with you. Now, she should have told her daddy everything, but she didn't. They get to the hearing and they get to reading off, hey, we got, show records where you've been harassing this minor. Talking about Laverne and Kanan. It don't look good, right? So even her daddy's looking at her like, you did what? So, it don't look good. So she gonna have to, appeal it or whatever. So in other words, she's not back. She didn't get reinstated in that visit. Her daddy couldn't even help her. Apparently he's high ranking for them to even let him go and be a part of her hearing like that. I don't know. But even he couldn't help her. He couldn't save her. So she's gonna have to deal with it and continue to fight her way back. Of course, that didn't stop her from her investigations and digging. She's a pit bull. She's not gonna stop. Then we see Ronnie and Neek riding around there, and you got to think about it with Ronnie. He's been locked away for years, right? Things have changed over time, and you notice that he's looking around. He's trying to figure out where our guys at. We don't have no guys on the corner, and Neek's trying to tell him, listen, things have changed, man. Things have changed. We can't just be out there, especially we hot right now, police everywhere after the shooting. Things have changed. And he was like, I left you this empire, and this is what I get back. So you find out, whoa, he was the one in charge, right? And now I hear you got Rock running things and you answering her. So he's trying to convince him, listen, Rock is out of the game. Ronnie ain't trying to buy it. He don't believe Rock's out the game, which we all know Rock ain't gonna be out the game. We've been in the Power universe long enough to know that Rock is not out the game. Even if she wants to, she's not out. So now Kanan's back at Famous's apartment. Look like a bando, but he's there. And Famous lets him know, hey, we got this eviction notice. So Kanan's like, we got to make more money. And we got to get out of this dump, right? He's ambitious. You saw we all saw how he's grown up. He's had money. He's like, we got to get out of this dump. So he asked about his plug, and Famous is all over the place. He done ate food and don't remember he ate it. And he's all over the place. He's just a wreck. And he's like, he even said if he could go back home, he would be in his room rubbing him one out. And he want everything for nothing, right? He ain't grew up yet mentally. Not to say what Kanan's wanting to do is right, because it's not. But, Kanan just wants his own. He don't want to depend on his mom. He want to get off under his mama's thumb is what he wants. So he asked him about his plug, and Famous ain't trying to hear, but we all know Kanan's going to get his way. We all know that. So, So then we see that Marvin has moseyed back to the old house where Lou is still lingering and drinking. And at the time, I was wondering why. I hadn't really put together, or maybe I missed it in some previous episodes. Don't know if that was shared. But turns out, because he later mentions it to Kanan, that he grew up in that house. I thought that was just Rock's house, but that's the house they grew up in. And so he's upset that Rock is just going to sell it away like that. Rock has the power, right? Everybody's under her thumb and she has the power. They don't have the resources, the means, or anything like that to deflect anything that she's trying to do. So she has the power, can do whatever she wants to do. Heck, she signed that company off from under him and he didn't even know it. The record company. So he's just done with Rock, and he's expressing this to Marvin, how done he is with her. He even tells her how she's the one that killed Scrap. And Marvin's trying to defend that decision, mainly because, he kind of had something to do with it too, by confirming that Scrap was the snitch to Rock. So it's just a scene that I guess, it shows you their vulnerabilities. And I think more importantly, it shows us that Marvin is going to have some drinking problems because he is drinking heavily in this scene. So I don't know. I just felt like when I watched it, he's about to become an alcoholic. Then we see Laverne at the counselor's office at school. And I always been wondering, like, wow, because when we met her back in Power, she's a cop. And then in this, I didn't see that trajectory of her becoming a cop, but I guess here we go. This is probably where it's going to start. So she's talking to her counselor about her future. And her counselor asked her, did she see anything on the board that she might be interested in? And at first she's like, well, I don't want to be all I can be because apparently military's up there in some fast food joints. And she's like, I don't want to work at no White Castle either. And she's like, well, what is it that you want to do? Because, at the end of the day, we all know that a lot of times counselors, school officials, especially when they're of the other persuasion, they don't see our young people as being anything more than that. And it just is what it is. Especially, and you got to keep this in mind, especially back in the 80s when this took place. So Juke tells the counselor that she wants to be a singer. And she said, well, being a singer, in other words, like rethink it, that's not going to pay your bills. In other words, like shooting her hopes and wishes down, basically. And you could tell that deflated Laverne, Jukebox. So we're on back to Kanan and Famous. They're at the Plug's house. They're shooting their shot to the Plug of what they want. He's not trying to hear it. He's sitting on the couch playing video games with his son. Apparently he's had some domestic issues, whatever, don't know, because he only gets a few hours a week with his son, and he ushers them out like, get up out of my face, ain't got time for that, spending time with my son. He ain't trying to hear it, right? But we know better. So we're back to Laverne and Marvin at Marvin's house because she's gone back home. They have worked out their relationship, which I am so here for. I was so happy that they were able to work that out together. I'm so proud of Marvin. They're back at the house. Juke walks in and Marvin shows her a box that they've dropped off from the church for Juke, and it has Jukebox written on it. Or maybe Laverne. I can't remember what was written on the box. But it was for Laverne. And he lets her know, hey, the church dropped this off. Your mom apparently had this packed up in her room to give to you, and this is for you. Also, they're going to be having a memorial. And if you want to go, I don't mess with them people like that. But if you want to go, I'll go with you. Right? Well, fast forward, he ends up going and she don't go. But he went on her behalf. She stayed in her room and cried and thought about her mom and the could have been, should have been, going through the box, and she saw her mom's music. Her mom left her some old records and she was just playing the music and mourning in her own way. And I like the fact that Marvin allowed her to do that. Even the scene where she got the box from Marvin gave her a nice long hug, which in all honesty gave me a tearjerker. So now we're back at the bando. with Kay and Famous. And they're sitting in there and they get a knock at the door. And it's the parents. It's Rock and it's Howard. So, of course, when Famous looks out the peephole, he was like, it's your mom and a cop, because he don't know that's Kay's daddy. So he lets them in, and they, long story short, they end up kicking Famous out because we need to talk to Kay right now. So they kick Famous out of his own crib. The mom ends up giving him, $20 or so and told him, go buy you some pizza. Well, Famous all for that, So he got up out of there. And they begin to talk to him about what's going on and everything. And ultimately, in their conversation, they all agree that Burke has got to go. And they talked about a couple other things, and it's like Kanan circled back to that and looked at Howard and said, I don't care if she's a cop or not. She got to get what's coming to her. Like, in other words, you better do this, right? That's the way I took it. It was crazy because Kanan's telling them, hey, this lady done pulled me, Juke. He also told Howard, hey, man, she knows all about you too. She knows you, my dad, everything. Like, he letting them know. So later in the scene, we see Kanan is now going to the old house. And at first, I'm thinking like, wow, like, did the eviction happen already? Now he gonna go over here and crash in this empty house? I didn't know what was going on, right? But when he gets in, he sees Lou in there drinking, and he said, hey, what you called me over here for? So Lou invited him over. Lou called Kanan to come see him at the old house. So Lou's reason is, how they say misery loves company. And this is how I feel a lot of times about things. I feel like this a lot of time about things. Sometimes it's good to keep things, you can find somebody neutral to talk to about it. You don't always have to talk to somebody that it might hurt them just as much. To me, that's how misery loves company. Like, this is how I feel about this person. Guess what? I want you to feel the same way. Like, no, if it's hurting me and I need it off my chest, find somebody neutral to talk to about it. But he brings Kanan over and he tells him about D-Wiz. He was like, and I killed D-Wiz because your mom told me to, because D-Wiz was Kanan's boy. He's like, and I killed D-Wiz because your mom told me to. And Kanan's sitting there looking at him. He told me he said he knew. And he looked, he said, you could have said no. And it was a long dramatic pause. And then he said, and I could have said no. That's some powerful stuff right there, especially coming from a teenage boy. But I think it also fueled Lou to let him know, hey, you know what? He's right. I can start pulling more away from her. I can tell her no. So we'll see what comes of that. So then what a lot of people's been waiting for. Neek pulls up to Rock's new crib, right? He's there. Knocks on the door. She comes, answers the door. She got the little sling on. And she tells him she's cooking dinner. And he's like, well, you look like you could use some help. She lets him in. And then it tripped me out because she in there cooking some eggs. You just scrambling some eggs. She made a plate of eggs. Anyway. So he comes in, of course, they get to talking, and one thing leads to another, and now they having sex. We knew that was coming. So the final scene, you see Howard on the phone. Howard is talking to somebody, and he's saying, hey, we got to meet. All this stuff we got to meet. Well, it's Burke. So then you see it cuts to him getting out of the car. And he's walking across a little ways. He gets on the passenger side of the vehicle. And, of course, Burke is sitting in the car. And she go right off like, that bulldog, right? of the stuff that she knows. You never show your whole hand. She telling him everything that she knows about what's going on. She started from when Rock was his CI all the way up. Like, you got her pregnant. Of course, y'all had to hide it or whatever. She couldn't let DEFCON know that she was pregnant by you or whatever. It had to get swept under the rug. And she just knew too much. She even told him, I know that Kanan's the one that shot you. Like, she was just letting him know, just going on and on and on about Sam, all just going on and on. And the next thing you know, he just in her head. Pow! Just killed her. Blood on his face. It was a gory scene. And of course I flinched like, whoa. He shot in the head. Now, here's the thing. I know he's going to end up getting the get for this. He's going to have to get it for this. But how are they going to find out? Like, is it going to be the forensic, because the angle, like she couldn't have did this to herself because the gun was shot from further back? Like, something going to reveal this, because he ended up finding a recorder in her pocket. And he played it back, and yeah, she was recording him. He wiped the gun off and all that, wiped his and gave it to her and put it in her hand. To make it, he set it up to make it look like a suicide. Wiped down his fingerprints, and he was off. He was gone. And I'm like, we know this gonna come back to bite him. We know it's gonna come out that he did this in some way, shape, form, or fashion. But how? Whew. Anyway, that was fun. I enjoyed it. If you like this type of content, please subscribe to my channel. Like the video, comment, let me know your thoughts. Like I said in the beginning, I know I'm late to the party, but I'm going to be playing catch up. I'm going to do the other 4 episodes that I missed between now and Friday. And then Friday, I can just, get rolling with the show as the show go on. So, welcome to the channel. Please, please, please subscribe and stay safe. And we'll be on to the next one. Peace.